Welcome back, Warriors. It's me, Linda B. Thank you all for joining. I'm doing my live stream today. Just a little bit behind schedule, but I am going to try and do lives daily, Sunday through Thursday at 9:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And tonight, we are going to be talking about the RFK endorsement of former President Donald Trump. How will that exactly affect Donald Trump's campaign? Will that help him or hurt him? So we want to talk about that. You all give me your opinions in the chat. I'm thinking it will help him myself personally. I don't think it will hurt him. And I have a video that we're going to check out. So I'm just going to wait for a little bit more people to join. Hopefully you all can join me. We're going to keep it kind of short tonight. We got to get started right for Monday. It's Sunday night, just about 9:45 on the East Coast. Hope everyone is having a great Sunday so far. Hope your week is blessed. And we're going to talk about the RFK endorsement of former President Donald J. Trump. There's some things that I really like about it, honestly. I really do like about it. Howdy there, Ferguson Software Solutions, LLC. Hope you're doing well. Glad to see everyone's joining right now. Today was interesting for me. Had a visit with family out of town. Thank you all so much for joining. Thank you all so much. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with the video that I want to share with you. We're talking about how the RFK Jr. endorsement will affect Donald Trump's campaign for the presidency. Do you feel like it will hurt him or do you feel like it will help him? Me personally, I think it will help because the voters that were supporting RFK, I'm thinking will go right over to and follow him over to Trump. So you all tell me what you think. Good evening. Good evening. So I just, I personally think it's going to help. And I love the fact that they're dealing with the food and the chemicals and the chronic health conditions that are out there. And a lot of those things are affecting our children, which is very unfortunate because people are getting more and more obese and unhealthier and more unhealthy because of what has been put in the food that our parents and grandparents ate 50 years ago, 100 years ago. It's not the same food. But I'm going to go ahead and you think it will help him. I definitely think it will help him because those voters that really support RFK, they really support him, that they will go with him. And we can also talk about how, some of RFK's family, his siblings, aren't too happy about what he did by endorsing Donald Trump. So we're going to share this video and let you guys just listen in on this video here. Let's take a listen.
So one of your keys is the influence of a foreign war. Now, with the continuing fighting happening in the Middle East, how does that influence your keys and, of course, voters' minds?
Normally foreign policy doesn't influence voters because they don't follow the day-to-day affairs of what's going on abroad. But big splashy failures and big splashy successes do influence voters, among one of my many 13 keys. And what's going on in the Middle East and in Ukraine is extremely important because I have a foreign policy success and foreign policy failure key, both of which are still uncertain depending on the vicissitudes of war. I'm often asked, when Biden was running, what did Biden have to do to win this election? And my answer was govern well. The most important thing Democrats could do right now, because they're the incumbent party, is somehow, broker a ceasefire and hostage release deal in the Middle East. I know it's a long shot, but that's what they should be focusing on.
Now to Robert Kennedy Jr.'s endorsement of Trump on Friday. I talked to you before the endorsement became official. You said that does not influence your 13 keys, RFK's endorsement. Why is that, Alan?
Yeah, well, I have one key on third party, which was already fading away. Look, people have said, oh my gosh, RFK Jr.'s got 5% in some of the swing states. That's completely misleading because third-party candidates, when it actually comes to voting, typically get a half or less of their top poll numbers. So you're talking about maybe 2%, not 5%. And by no means is that 2% just going to be delivered to Donald Trump. On the other hand, having RFK Jr. on board simply gives Democrats more ammunition for the notion that the Republican campaign is weird. Instead of, two weirdos, they now have three. Instead of weird square, they have weird cube. Moreover, his stance on being an anti-vaxxer is anathema to the suburban women who will likely decide this election. 70% of Americans are against his stance, and probably for suburban women, it's much larger. So any tiny, minuscule turnover from RFK Jr. to Donald Trump is likely to be far washed away by the revulsion of suburban women against RFK's signature campaign approach, which is his anti-vaccine stance, which could threaten the health of millions of American children.
Now, Alan, you know as well as I do, this race between Harris and Trump, it's close. It's within the margin of error. I also know you don't like polls. However, with your methodology, does this race seem neck and neck to you?
Well, I haven't made a call yet, but it's coming soon, right after Labor Day. I have said a lot would have to go wrong for the Democrats to lose, and forget the polls and the pundits. The pundits are sports talk radio. They're talking off the top of their head. It's fun, but it has no scientific basis. And polls are snapshots, ephemeral snapshots. And the error margin is far greater than the plus and minus 3% that they tell you. That's just statistical error. Add on, they don't know who's going to vote. They have to guess at likely voters. Poll respondents could lie or change their mind. That's why I tell everyone, keep your eye on the big picture as gauged by the keys to the White House, which look at the strength and performance of the White House party. And within a couple of weeks, I will reveal to the nation my final prediction, which has been right since 1984.
I know that. I would not bet against you. Alan, I have to ask, though, you said you're going to make the prediction after Labor Day. You've told me that numerous times because I try to get it out of you. What do you think is going to happen between then and now? What are you looking for to make that prediction?
Well, the school year is starting. So the biggest thing I'm looking at, is there going to be a huge outpouring of social unrest? That's one of my keys. I don't expect it, but I'm looking at it. And of course, while it may be unlikely to happen in the next couple of weeks, I am looking at what's going on with the ceasefire negotiations and in Ukraine with the incursion of the Ukrainians into Russia. So a lot of fluidity in America and in the world. And that's what counts, not campaign speeches, ad fundraising, and dirty tricks.
Thanks for watching. Go to join.
Well, he said what's going on in the world matters more than dirty tricks. That stuck out to me, and what people are saying, but what's actually happening in the world. So that's Dr. Lichtman. He's saying that RFK Jr. endorsing Donald Trump actually isn't going to really help him. He's saying that the 5% that supposedly will follow RFK to Trump is really more like half of that. So he's saying, I guess, 2 to 2.5%. And then that'll be washed out by the suburban female voters who are against the anti-vax message that he runs on. So I'm not asking you all what you did. What I chose is me and my family chose not to do that, not to get we chose not to do that. And I got to be careful with that. But I think he's also bringing something to the campaign that's not duplicative. Yeah, I agree with that, with the campaign is constituted. So we'll see, how that actually works. But I'm interested in, in the fact that this doctor is saying that the percentage is very low of the voters that will follow Trump. And then the women will wash it out. I would think that suburban mothers would be more interested in thinking, I want to protect my children from chemicals in the food, from things that could harm them. I mean, we're talking about a RFK who is a proponent of our children being healthier. And we see that the obesity rate, type 1 diabetes, instances of autism and other neurological disorders, people may say that could be contributed to the food supply. Who really knows? But I would think that mothers would be interested in that. These suburban women would be interested in helping their children to be healthier. I don't understand how that would hurt Trump. I think it would help him. I mean, you have some people that are all, I got to talk about my Facebook folks that I've known all my life, practically a lot of them. And they're saying that his folks are turning over in their graves. RFK Sr. and JFK are turning over in their graves. Well, maybe, maybe not. And I'm surprised that the Kennedys are actually still with the Democrats, to be honest with you, based on what LBJ did. You all know what LBJ did? Tell me in the chat. Tell me if you know what he did. Because right now, RFK is saying that the Democrats are taking him to court, trying to get him wiped off all the ballots. That sounds pretty familiar now, doesn't it? Yes. And he tried to talk to the Democrats about what he wanted to do with Big Farm, and all of that, and they were not listening. But Donald Trump listened. And for all his faults, Donald Trump always seems to go wherever you ask him to go. Like with the National Association of Black Journalists, he will just go anywhere. I mean, he might come meet me somewhere if I got a group of people who who sincerely want to ask him questions. He never seems to turn down an invitation. He is always present. It's neither too big nor too small. I mean, he really impresses me with doing that. And I'm just impressed by him. But we will see how the RFK thing turns out. But in my personal opinion, I think it's absolutely going to help him. You got a lot of people that are upset. Even his wife, she's upset. Even his wife doesn't seem to be happy about it. I'm like, he even said it out of his own mouth. It is causing some issues, with his family and painful for his wife. Wow. Even after what the Dems are doing to him right now as we speak, they are doing things to this man as we speak, dragging him in and out of court. And he decided to make the painful decision of suspending his campaign. He's no longer with the Democrat Party. He's an independent. He left back in fall of last year because of reasons such as the Democrats are no longer the party of old. They are the party of war, censorship, communism. That's what they have turned into. And my personal opinion, based on the history that I've seen, it's like they've always really been that way. Hi there, Caleb. Hello. Make America healthy again. Ooh, yes, I think so. JFK wouldn't recognize. Oh, no, he would not recognize the Dems today. Yes, Daisy, that is so true. Donald Trump is always willing to listen and have a dialogue. And with the NABJ conference where the reporter was very rude to him and Kamala didn't even show up. I mean, people need to look at the fact that Donald Trump showed up in what could be perceived as hostile territory, the Lion's Den. He still showed up and was on time. He wouldn't let it go that their equipment wasn't working and that they started more than a half hour late. But he literally said, I have too much respect for you to be late. They couldn't get their equipment working. And he said, you guys brought me there under false pretenses. You told me my opponent would be here. But as it turns out, she's not here. And I wanted to do Zoom. You said there's no Zoom and all kinds of things like that. So he will show up. But whatever energy you push out to Donald Trump, he's going to push it right back to you. That's just how he is. Where do we start with LBJ? Oof, that's a long story. I got a sick feeling one time. I was looking at a documentary and he was doing the oath of office on Air Force One after the assassination on JFK. And I looked at him and I was like, something was kind of, I don't know. just something you feel. And I kind of pushed it back, but I sensed something. And turns out later that something was actually something. So people like to bring up, and that reporter at the NABJ conference, she said, because Donald Trump said he's done more for Black people than even, well, since Abraham Lincoln, not more than Abraham Lincoln, but since Abraham Lincoln. And Rachel Scott of ABC said even more than Lyndon Baines Johnson, who signed the Civil Rights and Voting Rights Bill. Evidently, she doesn't know her history very well, because LBJ was I hate the word, I overhear it this time of year. Every 4 years, you overhear it, but the racist, okay? And he done a lot of things, unaliving of people, and had something to do with what happened to the brothers. So yeah, so Rachel Scott needs to get it together on that history. So even someone in my family sent a group text out showing that LBJ signed Civil Rights Act, Voter Rights Act, and you have MLK standing right next to him. But what this person does not know in my family is that LBJ did not actually want to sign it. Congress pushed it through with the vast majority of Republican help. The Democrats filibustered. So just a little history lesson there, talking about RFK really and his endorsement. Do you all feel like the RFK endorsement is really actually going to help Donald Trump? I say it's going to help him. Dr. Lichtman says no, because the suburban mothers are against this anti-jab thing that he's talking about. I can't imagine anybody in their right mind being against make the children healthy again. I mean, why would anybody be against that? We had enough issues going on. Absolutely. Absolutely. I totally agree. I totally agree. And so what we're talking about, guys, is RFK. Do you feel like his endorsement is going to help Donald J. Trump get into the White House? It's a lot going on, because I showed a video of RFK talking about what the evil powers that be are doing to him right now, which I think is rather disgusting. And I'm just going to pull the thing up for you, because I don't know if you all saw the video that I did. It's horrible what's going on. It's absolutely horrible. I'm going to see if I can pull this up for you guys, so you can just take a look at this video of what he was saying they were doing to him. I'm going to pull this up, and you're going to see, just in case you did not. Oh, they got the MAHA. Oh, that's cool. Make America Healthy Again. Oh, wow. So much going on in the world. We're going to see how things turn out. But I thought he looked pretty cool up there at that Arizona rally, standing next to Trump. I thought he did. I think he looks like he's in pretty good shape. Now, he's in his 70s too. He's 70 years old. All right, let's see. That's not the one. I'm going to see if I can find this one. If not, I will just leave it. Let's see. Gosh, RFK, you got a lot of things. I'm going to see if I can pull this up with him standing in front of the Pennsylvania courthouse. I don't know. Did he delete it? Oh gosh, he might have gotten rid of that one. I'm way back into early August. He might have gotten rid of that. Let's see. Okay. Let's just look at this one right here. We're going to look at this one.
We lost it in the Supreme Court in Albany. The Supreme Court, ironically, in New York State is the lowest court in the state. And we will be appealing this. And we're very confident that in the Court of Appeals or the Appellate Division that we will prevail, that this loss is just a road bump. But I wanted to explain to you what happened. I've always kept an address in New York, even though I have 3 houses. Cheryl and I have a house on Cape Cod that's been in my family for many years. We also have our primary residence right now, which is in California. And I keep a residence in New York because that's where my domicile is. Officially, it has been my whole life. I've lived in New York for 60 years. Since I was 10 years old, I moved here when my father ran for Senate. Ironically, he was castigated as a carpetbagger, meaning people were doubting his New York State residency at the time. So it's interesting for me and paradoxical that I'm now in the same battle that my dad was, trying to prove my New York State residency. My driver's license is in New York. My car is registered in New York. My law license is in New York. I pay income taxes in New York more than any other state. My law office is in New York, my only law office. And I also have a lot of other licenses in New York. My hunting license is here, my fishing license, my falconry license, etc. I vote here. It's the only place that I vote. The rule in virtually every state is that your domicile is the place where you intend to return. Oh, I have lived in other places. I've lived in Alabama. I've lived in South Dakota. I've lived in Massachusetts. I'm living now in California. But I've always voted in New York, and I've always intended to return here. And when Cheryl and I married in 2014, we agreed that when her acting career is over, that we'll come back to New York and we'll live in the town of Bedford. I've lived in this town for 40 years. I've actually lived in 13 different addresses in this town. And this is the town where I intend to retire to. Here's the problem with the court decision. I was advised by my attorney, who was Paul Ross. He was arguably the best ballot access attorney in the country, that I needed to put my New York address down, that it's the only address that a lawsuit, my own, that I would survive a lawsuit. He said, you're going to get sued by the DNC no matter what state. If you put Massachusetts, you'll be sued. If you put California, you're going to be sued, and you're going to be sued in the New York State Court. So probably in front of the same judge. So I acted on the advice of counsel. And when you do that, you cannot be convicted of fraud if you acted in good faith at the advice of counsel, which I did. And here's why he told me that. Most of the states require the candidate, which would be me, to use the same address on their ballot petitions. So you have to use a consistent address around all 50 states. And there are many states, including, for example, New Hampshire, that require that the domicile has to be the place where the candidate votes. Well, I've only ever voted in New York. So the only domicile I could put, and I had to swear in California, in New Hampshire, I had to take an oath in front of a notary that my voting address was my New York address. And so I had to use that address in those states, which means I had to use it in every state. And as you guys can imagine, this lawsuit is a frivolous lawsuit. It's a lawsuit that was brought by the DNC. The cost of these lawsuits by the DNC to us, to my campaign, is going to be over $10 million defending these frivolous lawsuits. We've won every one, and we're going to win this one. But they're using lawfare to try to keep us off of the ballot. This is the opposite of what the Democratic Party was doing when I was a kid. The Democratic Party of Robert Kennedy, of John Kennedy, was a Democratic Party that was fighting to make sure that every American could vote for the candidate of their choice. The Democratic Party of today is doing everything in its power to make sure that Americans can only vote for the candidates that the party elites choose. And as you know, President Trump and Vice President Harris have both managed to get their party's nomination without actually running in a primary. They were simply chosen by the oligarchs, the donor class, and the Democratic elite. The Democratic Party, in other words, now the Democratic Party is doing everything it can to make sure that democracy does not happen. It's pretending that it wants to preserve democracy by actually destroying it. So that's where I am today. We filed. We're filing an appeal in New York State and in the state courts, and then we'll go up to the Supreme Court if we have to. And it's an expedited appeal. These election cases get faster treatment than any other case. They get precedence over every other claim. We're also filing a federal action under the 12th Amendment. The 12th Amendment says that there's only 3 requirements for president to run for president of the United States. 1 is that you're 35. 2, you're born in this country. And 3, that you're a citizen of this country and a resident. And
I'm just going to stop right there, because the 3 requirements, and we're going to get to some other stuff, but I just talk as things hit me, okay? One of the things he said, of course, the 3 requirements for running for president. 1, of course, is you have to be at least 35 years old, born in this country. That second one, born in this country. Does anybody come to mind? How did that happen? That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. You guys know I got to be careful. It's some stuff out there now about somebody. Do you know what I'm talking about? It's sticking out of my head. You have to be born in this country. Okay. I'm just saying, you know, that whole birther thing that came out and everybody was getting on to Donald Trump. Woo, boy, what kind of a country do we live in? We thought we lived in a constitutional republic. Yes. And now we have people like Kamala Harris. Lord help us, Lord. And anyway, let's not get off track. You see, he's fighting in these courts, spending tens of millions of dollars because the DNC is trying to get Robert F. Kennedy Jr. off all the ballots in all the states using lawfare. That sounds familiar. What other person did they use lawfare against? Let me see. Oh, yeah, Donald J. Trump. See, this is what they have come to. They can't just let people decide. They just can't let the vote go, you know, the way it's supposed to go and do the thing democratically. No, they have to choose. They have to control. They want to maintain control. That is actually scary, in my opinion, because we don't know what they have planned for our country. We don't know if it can happen tonight, tomorrow, next week, next year. We don't know. Because we don't know, we need to be praying, because what's going down right now is anything but what our country was founded on. It was not founded on this foolishness. You've got the DNC going around just oppressing people, really, trying to use lawfare, using tens of millions of dollars, oppressing people, lawfare, phony cases, bogus, paying people off. This is unheard of. I mean, it is unheard of. And I just did a video of another attempted assassination on Donald Trump. Then we had what happened in Butler, Pennsylvania. That is just outrageous to me. Outrageous. And you know, every time the person who is the supposed lone shooter gets unalived, you already know what that means. You know what happened in 1963. You know. Yes. So anytime that happens, the evil powers that be, okay? Evil powers that be. We already know, because if you got to take the person out, a dead man can't talk. Can't talk, can't say a doggone thing. And see, the dirt is going to come out. I always say what's done in secret. The Bible says what's done in secret always comes to the light, warriors. Don't ever forget that. And we have to continue to pray. Yes, continue to pray. We can't, I don't think so. I don't think that we can, Daisy, survive another 4 years of Democratic rule. I honestly don't think that we can. because right now what they're doing with the border overran, we will probably have 100 million people in this country illegally if left up to the evil powers that be, and replacing certain communities. I find it horrific. I find it very horrific. It's so much that is going on in our country. We don't even know the half of it, to be honest with you. We think we know when we do our research. We honestly think that we know, but we don't really know. We don't really know what these people are doing behind closed doors. It honestly looks like to me that Donald Trump really cares about this country, that he's risking his life and his own comfort to make it better. That's what I see. Now, people see what they want to see. And we have dark forces going up against what God wants to do. I believe God is using Donald J. Trump to bring about a revival. And we have to pray that the evil powers that be out just get out of the way. They don't have to like it, but just get out of the way. Stop doing things, Let the people vote and let it fall where it falls, as long as we have secure, safe, and honest elections, fair elections. We have to have fair. We can't have any foolishness. Okay? So I'm glad you guys are here tonight. I personally believe that RFK will be an asset to Donald Trump. I don't know in what capacity he would be, but he got a rock star reception in Arizona. He really did. It was amazing. That song, "You Are My Hero," I think. Great song, great song choice. And it's hard for me to do those rallies and things because they have the music playing and then I get hit with copyright. So I can't, it's kind of hard for me to do those. I have to just focus on, I don't know. I can't really do the rallies. It's too hard. I always get, it's copyrighted because they're playing the music. So hopefully you guys just understand that some of these rallies I won't be able to do. Yes, my trust and faith is in God alone. That is amen. Amen. Absolutely. So we just have to really be prayerful about everything that's going on. We really do, because a lot is going down and we really don't know what's going to happen. That's the scary part. We really absolutely don't know what's going to happen, because right now they're cooking up something right now. We don't even know. We don't know what they're cooking up. I suspect one of the things that Dr. Lichtman, in the video that I showed, one of the things he said was that he thinks there might be racial unrest, because everything about the Democrats, they cause chaos, right? We're probably, and I've been praying against it, I pray that they can't even find an instant where the police officer is white and the victim who's been unalived is black, because they'll play that over and over and people get emotional in their feelings and run out into the street, and they love this. This is what they do. This is what the evil powers that be, that's what they do. They always promote racial unrest. That's Democrat stuff. That's what they do. You all tell me what you're going to, that's what I expect. You would think that they would try to cause something good to happen, like some release of hostages, just something good, ending a war here or there. We have to see what they'll do. They only got a little bit of time left. What, 5 months? You think they'll actually do that? Release some hostages or stop a war or do something redeeming, get these prices down? What do you guys think? What do you think? So, oh yeah, Adam Kinzinger. Oh, it says they got Adam Kinzinger. Trump 47 gets RFK. Yeah, I saw Adam Kinzinger at the DNC. I'm like, you're a Republican. What are you doing? Ugh. You can pay out anybody. It doesn't matter what party they belong to. If the price is high enough, some people can be bought. It takes a person with very resolute character not to be bought. I've had to walk away from some projects and things that really I was tempted to do, but I was like, you know what? This is not of God. So I will walk away. If I don't feel right about it, so far I've been able to say no, pray for my strength in the Lord. Sometimes things can get a little tight financially. And so that's when the devil will come up with this great temptation, this great big payout. But yeah, so that's what we're talking about today, guys. I'm just going to end it here. I really appreciate you guys joining. Now, don't forget, I push out my videos pretty much every day at 4, 6, and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So I need you to watch them as quickly as you can. Like, comment. It's very important to like them because the YouTube algorithm pushes it out and recommends it more. Like, comment, share, and watch the video to the end. Like, very important to like, comment, share, and watch the video to the end. Share the videos on all your social media platforms that you are on. No matter what you're on, share it and talk a little bit about it and say, you got to watch this video, text it to people, all of the things. I really appreciate it, guys. I'm ticking inch by inch closer to 50K subscribers. Excited about that, but I noticed things have slowed down, and I don't know. I guess that could be because of the election. I don't know. But I thank you all so much for supporting me very much. And well, that's it for today's video. You guys be blessed. Love God, your families, these United States of America. And as I always say, march on, warriors.